After vowing to keep a promise with his disciples, a tense conflict erupts as they insist on fighting by his side against the imperial palace, refusing to back down even as grief and loss weigh heavily on their spirits. The master recognizes their sorrow and regret, but also the danger of their unresolved attachments, resentful spirits of their families that now limit their growth. The disciples launch an assault with the transcending cultivation formation, a deadly formation designed to counter cultivators, but he breaks through with advanced understanding of martial and cultivation arts, using overwhelming technique and scattering their formation. Despite his victory, he is left regretting that he cannot sever their attachments for them, and the overseer of the assassination squad makes it clear that only the children themselves or a powerful core cultivator can release their spirits. The children, unwilling to let go of their families, remain bound by grief and revenge, alive but not truly living. As the campaign against the Mockley clan continues, the master ages rapidly, burdened by the sorrow of losing disciples and the weight of vengeful spirits he has accepted into himself in hopes of consoling them. Each loss cuts deeper, and regret gnaws at him for having brought his disciples into such a cruel destiny. The cycle of battle and burial continues, and the Jin clan eventually negotiates with the Mockley clan for the right to challenge the Yangguo imperial family, setting the stage for a decisive confrontation. Even as excitement and hope stir among the Jin clan and the disciples, the protagonist and Kim Young-hoon are troubled, seeing how the lives lost have become mere bargaining chips in the schemes of the powerful. Before the final battle, the master pleads with his disciples to survive, but they apologize, their hearts still colored by longing for revenge. Kim Young-hoon, furious at their disregard, reveals the truth. Their master has been sacrificing his own life and vitality by accepting the vengeful spirits of their fallen friends, shortening his own lifespan for their sake. This truth shocks the disciples, and the master finally voices his pain and understanding, admitting how deeply the bonds have affected him. For the first time, the disciples promise to survive, not just for revenge, but for their master. In a rare moment of unity, master and disciples connect, their hearts aligned as they face the coming decisive battle together. While waiting outside the imperial city on the day of the decisive battle, I spent my time studying a nameless manuscript written by Kim Young-hoon. This book was the culmination of martial arts knowledge accumulated through each of his regressions, evolving from the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts to the secrets of gazing cultivation and exceeding martial arts, and now into something even more advanced. Despite my efforts, I could barely grasp its meaning, as its contents were only meant for those who had reached the five energies converging to the origin. Kim Young-hoon explained that a martial art is only truly complete once it can be passed down. This one, however, is far too advanced to be accessible to most. Still, I resolved that even if I died, I would ensure its continued transmission in future regression. I suggested giving the martial art a name, and Kim Young-hoon, reflecting on his achievements, settled on record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, signifying the progress beyond both martial arts and cultivators that he had achieved. With this, memories of previous regressions and unfulfilled wishes surfaced, but there was no time for reflection as the true battle was about to begin. Suddenly, blue and red lights erupted over Seokyung City, signaling the end of the Jin and Mockley clans' agreement. The two clans conjured a barrier that instantly rendered most of the city's inhabitants unconscious, leaving only masters and intent realm warriors standing. The ease with which cultivators could suppress an entire city was terrifying, but I steeled myself, determined to stop the Mockley clan's atrocities. As the barrier set, Kim Young-hoon and I sprang into action. While Jin clan cultivators soared above, a deep blue defensive barrier surrounded the imperial palace, guarded by Mockley clan sorcerers. Kim Young-hoon, displaying his new mastery, conjured 9 spheres of Gangchi, shattering the palace's barrier and opening the way. The Jin clan cultivators stuck talismans in the breaches to prevent repairs, and I quickly dashed through one of these openings, cutting down Mockley clan defenders with precise, intent, guided swordsmanship. My attacks demolished their spells and defenses, leaving a path of blood and confusion in my wake. Recognizing me as a threat, the Mockley clan unleashed their Jiangshi puppets, but my disciples soon joined me, handling the onslaught while I pressed deeper into the palace. I encountered the Imperial Guards, familiar faces from my days with the Shadow Guards, but chose to spare them, subduing them with paralyzing weapons and poison rather than lethal force. With the immediate threats dealt with, I recalled the true location of the Emperor's emergency shelter, knowledge I'd gained as a Shadow Guard. After breaking through more Jiangshi and guiding my disciples through the formations that protected the Imperial Garden, We reached a secluded pavilion on the lake, glowing scenery pavilion where the real shelter was hidden. Upon confirming the Emperor's location, flares were sent up, and Jin Clan cultivators arrived to dismantle the final protective barrier. The hidden formation collapsed, revealing the Emperor and his guards, but also Makli Jung and his blue-robed cultivators. As the Jin Clan and Makli Clan prepared for battle, the Jin Clan's powerful formation unleashed a massive fireball, evaporating the lake and weakening the pavilion's defenses. A Jin Clan cultivator called out for me to handle the palace guards while they dealt with the Makli Clan, and I charged in, only to be met by Kwak Il Guk, the tiger slaughtering halberd, leader of the Shadow Guard. A reunion awaited, but the decisive battle for the fate of the imperial family had truly begun. Kwak Il Guk, leader of the Shadow Guards, faced off with Seo Unhyun, confused by his opponent's unfamiliar reputation. While Kwak Il Guk tried to assert his dominance, Seo Unhyun easily countered his intentions, reading every move with mastery over intent, and used the moment to teach his disciples the true might of the Shadow and Palace Guards. He instructed his disciples to break through the Palace Guards and kill the Emperor, while he personally took on the Shadow Guards. Despite their formidable skills, the Shadow Guards were no match for Seo Yunhyun. At the late stage of Three Flowers, gather at the summit, especially after he had mastered the records of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial art. He subdued them all without killing, including the leader, Kwak Il Guk, whom he struck down with controlled force, granting him a glimpse of the third color and the chance for his own breakthrough. Meanwhile, chaos erupted in the pavilion as the disciples, empowered by their formation, overwhelmed the palace guards. Suddenly, a massive whirlwind erupted from the distance, revealing the presence of Makli Wangxin, the founder of Yangguo and a cultivator of the Makli clan who had reached the key building stage. Kim Young-hoon, holding the severed head of the crown prince, had managed to ambush Makli Wangxin using advanced martial arts designed for escaping and ambushing cultivators. The battle between Kim Young-hoon and Makli Wangxin devastated the city, with Makli Wangxin unleashing terrifying wind attacks only to be met by Kim Young-hoon's gangsters. The emperor boasted about Makli Wangxin's recent breakthrough, believing him invincible, but the tide turned rapidly. As the clash escalated, Kim Young-hoon succeeded in killing Makli Wangxin, but not without sustaining grave wounds. The soul of Makli Wangxin, contained in his blood, possessed the Emperor Makli Jung, draining the palace guards of life and essence in a horrifying spectacle. Makli Wangxin, now inhabiting Makli Jung's body, quickly advanced his cultivation by devouring his fleeing descendants, reaching Qi, refining 5th star, but with the consciousness and power of someone who once reached the peak of Qi building. Seo En-hyun realized the danger as Makli Wangxin's presence filled the pavilion, threatening everyone. Kim Young-hoon, mortally wounded, fell unconscious, and Seo Eun-hyun urgently ordered his disciples to revive him with pills. With the monstrous Makli Wangxin preparing to unleash his power, Seo Eun-hyun braced himself, taking up his sword with the determination to hold the line, no matter what, as a storm of unimaginable strength began to gather around them. As the battle against Makli Wangxin reaches its climax, a whirlwind of sword and spell tears through the pavilion and the lake, with the martial artist wielding severing mountain swordsmanship to shatter even the grand spells of a chi-building cultivator. Despite the overwhelming power of Makli Wangxin's techniques, wind rocks, dragons, and tigers, he is steadily pushed back by the relentless advance of the swordsman who refuses to yield, repeatedly restoring his expended internal energy with the profound, endless mountains beyond mountains technique. Every step forward is bought with blood and pain, tendons snapping and bones cracking, but he continues, driven by the will to protect his disciples and not let go of his sword or his purpose. Makli Wangxin, frustrated and increasingly desperate, tries to break his opponent's will with verbal spells, stirring up the souls of the disciples bound within the martial artist's upper dantian. Yet, amidst agony and the cries of the dead, a revelation dawns, the colorless, infinite color of life itself. By accepting all desires and emotions, the swordsman transcends his previous limits, opening his soul to the flows of heaven and earth, attaining a realm beyond even. 3 flowers gather at the summit, a microcosm merging with the universe, capable of perceiving all things. With this awakening, the swordsman launches a final, devastating mental attack, the ultimate technique of record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, piercing Makli Wangxin's spirit and crippling his ability to cast spells. Even as his own energy is utterly depleted and his body ravaged. He uses the last of his strength not to kill Mokli Wangshin, but to break the chains binding his disciples' souls, unleashing a purifying wave that frees them from the Jin clan's curses. As his body finally succumbs, dying on his feet, his grip refuses to release Mokli Wangshin, leaving the cultivator powerless, his own spellcasting sealed by injury and by the hidden weapons flung at his legs. Mokli Wangshin, terrified and helpless, watches as the disciples, freed, empowered by their master's final act, and united by his will, rise up and shatter his defenses. Man Ho, leading the charge, decapitates the once mighty emperor, bringing his long life to an end. The disciples bow before their master's body, tears falling, as they bid him farewell, recognizing that while a single life may end, the will and teachings left behind continue on like endless mountains beyond mountain. Opening his eyes to a new regression, the protagonist wastes no time in subduing his companions with sleep acupoints and the juice of sleeping grass, ensuring several hours of solitude. Feeling stiffness from forcibly channeling internal energy into a body starting from zero, he quickly consumes a yellow bamboo root and anchors the Dragonvine Chi method, meditating to restore his strength. As his fatigue fades, he recalls the climactic memories of his last life, especially the final battle with Mokli Wangshin, and prepares to explore the enlightenment he glimpsed at the moment of death. Taking the writing stance of severing mountain swordsmanship, he delves into the spectrum of human emotions: joy, anger, sorrow, pleasure, love, hatred, and desire, realizing that all are facets of a singular intent. As these myriad intents merge, they dissolve into colorless void, and his consciousness expands beyond reading intent to sensing the very flow of the world around him. He perceives the spiritual energy inherent in everything, the sleeping breaths of his companions, the grass, insects, sunshine, and wind. This overwhelming rush of information threatens to burst his mind, his upper dantian swelling uncontrollably as he teeters on the edge of collapse. Remembering the agony of his earlier transitions between realms, he realizes his only path forward is to evolve his physical body. The spiritual energy of the five elements converges, guiding him to remodel his body. With conscious intent and medical knowledge, he realigns bones and muscles, widens meridians, and purges toxins. The transformation grants him a rejuvenated, optimized body that can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, even through his skin. Testing his new form, he executes severing mountain swordsmanship, watching dewdrops fly and seeing his youthful reflection in their surfaces. His intent splits droplets in midair, and with each motion, he blends his energy with the flow of the world. He forms Ganchi directly from the void, then leaps to the top of a tree and steps into the sky, instinctively treading on the currents of spiritual energy and wind. Ascending higher and higher, he bursts through the clouds, laughing in elation and awe at the realm he has finally reached. Among the sea of clouds, he is overcome with gratitude and sorrow, thanking the disciples of his previous life who helped him come this far, even though he will never see them again in this timeline. He acknowledges that through nurturing others and overcoming his own stubbornness, he has arrived at the long-sought realm, the five energies converging to the origin. As he descends, wind patterns swirling around him, he senses that this is not the end, but the true beginning of his cultivation journey, ready to step forward from the real starting line. After ensuring his companions were safe in a cave, food and rest provided, the protagonist set out once more to confront the three-tailed fox within its field of consciousness. With his cultivation now at five energies converging to the origin, he found himself able to penetrate deeper into the fox's domain than ever before, wielding the evolved martial arts techniques inherited from Kim Young-hoon. He managed to use record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, dividing his consciousness and sending his sword gang deep into the fox's aura, opening up insights into a realm even higher than five energies. Feeling this was the threshold toward Gang Chi compression spheres, he returned satisfied to the cave. When the fox returned, it once again demanded his arm, which he gave without resistance. The fox enjoyed it more than before, noting the improved flavor thanks to the protagonist's transformation. Days later, Azure Tiger Saint and two other cultivators arrived, this time noticing that the protagonist too possessed spiritual roots, marking him as a cultivator. He endured a painful spiritual inspection, discovering that his roots were of the five elements, the weakest and most disdained among cultivators, but his endurance and willpower impressed Azure Tiger Saint. As a token, he was given a mark, a recommendation to the Chongmun clan, a distant offshoot of Azure Tiger Saint's lineage in the mortal realm. Later, as the usual storm of fate swept his group, he observed, with his newly awakened consciousness, the spiritual phenomena surrounding Deputy Manager. Oh, and, more strikingly, the vast and intricate consciousness of Manager Kim Yon as she awakened her abilities. Soon after, the Sea Dragon King appeared and took away, just as in previous cycles. A hunchbacked old cultivator arrived, examining both Manager Kim Yon and the protagonist. With keen insight, the old man saw through to the protagonist's true nature, a martial artist who had climbed into the world of cultivators through the five energies, converging to the origin, not someone born with spiritual roots. The old man revealed he met another like him centuries ago, describing the unique physical and spiritual traits of martial artists who reached this realm. He offered to take the protagonist as his disciple, promising the chance to ascend to higher realms if he would give up the sword forever. The protagonist refused, unable to abandon the martial path he'd walked through countless lives. Accepting the refusal with a mixture of disappointment and respect, the old man opened a spatial rift, sending the protagonist, Kim Young-hoon, away once again. As a parting gift, he imprinted a mysterious law into the protagonist's mind. This time, instead of being gently transported, they fell from the sky, barely able to land safely through martial skill. Realizing he was near Lianshan City, the protagonist prepared to examine the law left behind by the old cultivator, eager to discover what new path might open before him. After deciphering the hidden consciousness technique from the runes gifted by the hunchback old man, the protagonist reflects on its use, understanding how it conceals one's spiritual presence and makes cultivation more efficient. A memory of the Tuho gang, infamous bandits who once destroyed his childhood village, resurfaces. Driven by lingering pain and a sense of responsibility, he tracks them down. The bandits, once terrifying in his youth, now seem pitiable and weak. The protagonist dispatches them effortlessly, feeling a grim kinship with their suffering, but acknowledging the necessity of ending their crimes. He rescues the captives, collects valuables, and leaves the past behind, symbolically freeing himself from old nightmares. Setting up a new life in Lianshan City, he secures identities for himself and Kim Young-hoon, then systematically dismantles local unorthodox factions, amassing wealth and purchasing a manor. He devotes himself to teaching Kim Young-hoon, who soon reaches the realm of three flowers, gather at the summit. As Kim Young-hoon attains enlightenment and marvels at the vastness of the protagonist's consciousness, he demonstrates the severing vein saber method in its entirety, blending in the deeper threads of intent from his own five energies, converging to the origin. Kim Young-hoon, awed by the display, calls him a genius, but the protagonist denies it, attributing his success only to an unusual ability. He continues teaching Kim Young-hoon, leaving behind cultivation records for when he too reaches the five energies realm, before parting ways. Entering Seokyong City, the protagonist infiltrates the imperial palace, silently kills Emperor Maklijong, and escapes, cleaving through spells and barriers with his awakened consciousness. He journeys to the Jin clan's territory, where he sees the barrier's energy for the first time, a gift of his heightened perception. Slipping inside, he finds a training ground where, in another life, his disciples once trained. Though these children no longer remember him, he feels compelled to help. Leaving the emperor's head as proof of justice for their suffering, he urges the children to live on. In a nearby warehouse, he finds hundreds of crystal beads imprisoning resentful spirits. Drawing his sword, he shatters them, setting the spirits free in a luminous, moving scene. After dodging the clan's magical alarms and escaping, he bids silent farewell to his former disciples, hoping their new lives will be less painful. With his heart set on further growth, he heads toward the border, intent on seeking the Chongmun clan in Byokra country to continue his path of cultivation. Arriving in the wealthy nation of Byokra, the journey led through vibrant markets and unfamiliar languages, eventually settling for months in a pharmacy to master the local tongue. With new fluency, the search began for the elusive Chungmun clan, a cultivator clan hidden behind spiritual barriers. After days of patient observation, a man in blue robes emerged from a barrier, introducing himself as Byok Moon of the Byok clan, one of Byokra's three great immortal clans. Through conversation and careful questioning, crucial knowledge about the structure of cultivator society was gleaned, about loose cultivators, the hierarchy of clans, and the marginalization of those without powerful background. Byok Moon, eager to share, revealed details about the realms of cultivation, and the Great Spirit Path Conference, a secretive gathering where cultivators from across the region exchanged treasures and techniques. Taking the opportunity to accompany Byukmun towards Lingshu Mountain, more information was gathered about spirit stones, the currency of cultivators, and the powerful formations protecting the conference grounds. Denied entry for lack of an invitation, the decision was made to wait outside, hoping to intercept members of the Chongmun clan. Soon, a group of Mokli clan cultivators emerged, boasting about their elixirs made from the suffering of mortals. Disgusted, the Mokli cultivators were confronted and swiftly slain, their cruelty avenged. The last survivor, trembling, explained the chi gathering stage and its insignificance in the cultivation hierarchy, unwittingly filling in gaps in knowledge about the early stages of a cultivator's journey in the way Dantean formation mirrored the martial world's methods. With the Mokli clan's ill-gotten elixirs and spirit stones collected, a brief rite was performed to honor their victims, burying the tainted elixirs under the sun. The path then led to Lingshu Mountain, where the required spirit stones were exchanged for entry into the Spirit Path Conference. As light and space twisted, entry was granted at last to the heart of the gathering, where the next steps on the path of cultivation awaited. Stepping into the Spirit Path Conference, the world of the cultivators is revealed in all its overwhelming detail. Spiritual energy flowing everywhere, spell runes protecting the buildings, and even the weeds infused with power. Unlike the chaotic markets of mortals, the cultivators' exchange is quiet and controlled, with everyone masking their intent and a sense of clarity in the air. Amid stalls trading talismans, rare herbs, and strange beasts, the allure of storage artifacts draws attention, especially a bracelet capable of storing vast amounts of items, which is quickly bought for a hefty price in spirit stone. Seeking knowledge, a visit to the bookstore Chongnan yields a fortuitous meeting with a mysterious old owner, Mr. Eom, who gifts a magic brush that conceals cultivation and recommends several foundational books on the world of cultivation, spiritual roots, and chi refining techniques. After selecting suitable methods for the 5 elements spiritual root, the books are bought and curiosity is satisfied about the Chongmun clan's whereabouts. Outside, the search for the Chongmun clan is cut short by the commotion they cause. Feared and avoided by others for their temper, the siblings from the clan are seen embroiled in a confrontation with a Jin clan cultivator. The giant of the Chongmun clan roughs up the Jin clan member under the guise of healing, cleverly skirting the conference's rules. The spectacle draws no intervention from bystanders, but the imbalance prompts a direct intervention, using advanced martial and consciousness techniques to end the beating and rescue the victim. Grateful, the Jin clan cultivator offers a token of favor before leaving. The confrontation escalates, but the Chongmun siblings are swiftly subdued, healing techniques countered, and spells shattered, leaving them stunned by the display of power. Mistaking the protagonist for a powerful chi-refining cultivator, thanks to the concealing brush, their attitude shifts to respect, especially after seeing the Azure Tiger Saint's recommendation token. They immediately offer guidance for joining the Chongmun clan as an external member, promising to escort him after the conference. After waiting out the remaining days of the Spirit Path Conference and nearby lodging, the journey continues to the territory of the Chongmun clan in Byokra, guided by the now deferential siblings. Arriving at the Chongmun clan's mountainous territory with a recommendation from a high-ranking elder, Seo Un-hyun is accepted as an external member after a brief exchange with chi-building elder Chongmun Mo. Although his spiritual roots are of the rare 5 elements type, his cultivation appears unimpressive due to his concealed abilities. Chongmun Mok provides him with a basic cave residence, a meager supply of cultivated yellow bamboo ginseng, an identity token, and 2 books, a basic clan chi gathering manual and the clan's rulebook. Examining both the clan's manual and the superior myriad chi gathering method he previously acquired, Yun Hyun realizes that the process to create a law transforming Dantian is especially arduous for those with multiple spiritual roots. Balancing 5 qualities is notoriously difficult and often takes years. However, thanks to his past achievements and perfect internal harmony, he finds the process trivial. After confirming he has ample spirit stones for energy, he takes on clan missions to fulfill monthly requirements, teaming up with another member to search for children with spiritual qualities in remote villages. He discovers that rumors of children seeing ghosts or acting strangely often point to spiritual talent, and the clan regularly recruits such individuals to replenish its ranks. During one mission, he purchases and comforts a frightened boy named Gusan, whose life quickly shifts from beggar to trainee within the clan. illustrating the clan structure for nurturing new cultivators based on their innate roots. With his obligations met for several months, Unhyun returns to his cave and begins closed-door cultivation using the 5 elements secret method. Drawing from his vast supply of spirit stones and perfectly balanced spiritual roots, he effortlessly harmonizes the 5 elements in his dantian and completes in days what would take others years. He successfully transforms his dantian with primordial chaos energy, achieving the law, transforming dantian and gaining control over pure 5 element spiritual power. Emerging after a month, he realizes he has ample time before his next mission and decides to push further, aiming to reach the first star of key refining with the advanced 5 surpassing paths to cultivation.